Thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojobaka. Let's begin from the ports because the Bank of Ghana is stepping up efforts to streamline foreign exchange pricing and services at the country's ports. Now, it has therefore announced a new set of guidelines for all players in the industry. And we will be getting onto Zoom and speak with the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. But before we do that, let's get some details of these guidelines as you have it on your screens now. And it's captured. Guidelines for the application of exchange rates by the shipping industry in Ghana. It reads, following consultations with stakeholders from shipping industry on the application of exchange rates by players in the shipping industry, the Bank of Ghana announces the following guidelines. Guidelines aims to ensure transparency, consistency, and alignment with regulatory frameworks in foreign exchange pricing for services offered at the ports. Now, one is the guidelines apply to all players in the shipping industry operating in Ghana. Two, all industry players must publish daily exchange rates used for invoicing on their website and or at their premises. Three, the published rate must be available to customers and communicated clearly to them prior to the issuance of invoices or payment. And four, invoices should clearly indicate one, the currency of the service, two, the applied exchange rate, three, the date of application, and four, the final amount in cedis or dollars. Concludes by saying the exchange rate must be market reflective of their commercial bank rates, which is expected to be benchmarked to the Bank of Ghana's published interbank exchange rate and not arbitrarily determined. And we have more on that for you as we have it on the screens. In case of disputes relating to exchange rates application, well, customers, this goes to you, may launch a formal complaint with the service provider. Two, unresolved complaints may be escalated to the Ghana Shippers Authority. And seven, all industry players must comply with the Foreign Exchange Act 2006, Act 723, and related notices. Non-compliance may result in administrative sanctions. That's what the Bank of Ghana is saying. And finally, the guidelines should come into effect on 22nd July, which is today, and remain in force until otherwise amended or revoked. And this is coming from the Bank of Ghana. It is for this reason we want to expand this conversation further as we're joined by the first Vice President of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders to speak to us here on the program. Nana Isiama Prempeh the first joins us via Zoom. Nana, thank you so much for agreeing to join us here on Business Live. How significant is this directive by the Bank of Ghana to players in the shipping industry when it comes to pricing of Forex to your operations, you would say?
All right, thank you very much, my brother. The name is Nana Isiama Prempeh, the first, not Prempeh. So a little bit correction there. But yes, my greetings to your viewers and then your listeners. This is something that we have, we as freight forwarders have always been talking about over the years. It's been long time. And now the news has come at an appropriate time, which we are welcoming it. You quite remember that there was an engagement by His Excellency, the President of the land, John Dramani Mahama, he engaged us at the Jubilee House on issues like this type. So we outlined, in fact, before then, we have written to him and then we have outlined so many things that can help the port, to run at a less cost. Because if you check our neighboring countries, there are all indications that our port is so expensive. So we have already indicated to him, and then he engaged us. He didn't waste time at all. He engaged us in some conversation. So one of the issues that we mentioned was the activities of the shipping lines at the ports. And then one of those activities is the exchange rate that we spoke about. So this news is, in fact, after our engagement with the president, there was an engagement with the Bank of Ghana. And I'm not surprised that this notice has come. And the surprise that will come is the speed at which this has come.
All right.
And in fact, I'm really happy with it.
Great. So help me understand how this directive will address the discrepancies in forex pricing, for example, at the ports?
Right. For instance, the shipping lines, they are one of the major operators of the port. There are several shipping lines in Ghana. They all use different exchange rates. Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana issue exchange rate for the week, which customs and other port operators use for the week. So every week, every Monday, there is a new exchange rate that comes. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it comes down. Mostly, until recently, it goes up. But to our surprise, the shipping lines don't comply with that. They use their own exchange rate. And that is one of the major issues that we have been raising. And luckily enough, we are happy to hear this thing from the president through the Bank of Ghana.
Great. When you follow the statement, the central bank is also directing all these players to stick to advertised commercial banks as well as the Bank of Ghana's rates. Now, this is a prudent one, I guess.
Of course, that is what we are all looking for. Because you see, we shouldn't forget that all these charges that comes up, importers and exporters are not Father Christmas. When they pay with higher exchange rate, they will definitely add to their costs, and then it will come back to us. Me and you will go to the market, and then we buy at a high price. So if we have a regulated exchange rate at the port, it helps everybody. One thing that we have also asked for, and we hope that possibly very soon it will also come to the fact that the exchange rate should, for the purposes of the port, it should be, pegged for maybe 3 months or 6 months, so that importers and exporters can plan.
All right. Very quickly on this, what could be the impact of this pricing of services at the ports, cost of imports, and even the market?
Come again, please.
I'm asking about the impact of this directive when it comes to, services at the ports and even imports.
Yeah, there will be an impact because right now all the shipping lines and other players are going to apply the same exchange rate at the port. Importers will know or they can plan that we know that this is how much I'm going to pay. Before, they won't know until the invoice is issued. We all know that the exchange rate started dropping not too long ago. Somewhere in, I think, April, May. I have with me here an invoice from one of the shipping lines that the exchange rate is showing 16 cedis. The date of the invoice is May, 12 May. So right now that this, so you can just imagine 16 cedis, to a dollar, at that time, that is May. So now that there are these orders to go by, nobody can go above it. Nobody can go above what government will put out there. And therefore, we will all stay within the range and charge accordingly so that we Ghanaians will also benefit what we deserve.
First Vice President of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, thank you so much for joining us here on Business Live. Grateful speaking to us. Now, let's shift focus to one of our lead stories. Ghana's business communities eagerly awaiting the mid-year budget review scheduled for Thursday, July 24. Now, Finance Minister Dr. Kasiela Tuforsen will present the review to Parliament, outlining the government's fiscal performance in the first half of the year and policy directions for the second half. But what are the expectations of the business community, both in the formal and informal sectors? Now, joining us via Zoom is the president of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Stefan Mizan Abbas, as well as the vice president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Clement Boateng, for us to have this conversation. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us here on Business Live. And I want to start off with you, Clement. Stefan Abbas, for you, what's your take on this directive, this very one, in relation to the Bank of Ghana's forex pricing at the ports? I know you have serious concerns when it comes to pricing, exchange rate matters, etc.
First, thank you. Good evening also to your listeners. Let me first of all send a great appreciation to the Governor of Bank of Ghana for this great directive. since I took office as the president of the chamber, I must say that we're actually taking steps to actually sue the shipping lines at the Supreme Court and attach the Bank of Ghana to come and explain why, if they give such a directive, shipping lines can just decide not to obey it. So it is really good news to the business community and also to us who import for some of the work that we do. So this is great news for us. And we really want to appreciate the governor of Bank of Ghana and the president for taking such a bold step in this directive. The business community says a big thank you to them. Yeah, thank you.
Now, back to our substantive matter. How would you describe the economic performance of this government in the first quarter of this year?
Oh, Pius, I think the government has done so well. And we pray that it keeps as such. Look at the stability of the city. Very recently, I think the only thing that I won't talk about that negative side, but the government has consulted us. We've had discussions on the VAT reforms, and we are expecting that it is mentioned in the media budget. The idea of the 24-hour economy to ensure that we can transform the structure of our economy is also good. We look forward to understand, at least the policy is out. We look forward for them to accept the inputs that we are going to make and all of that. The city is stabilizing now, and in very few days there's been a rise. But if the government can put in more steps to ensure that it stabilizes, that is fine. But I think all in all, it's been good. The government has been doing fantastic, and we pray and commit ourselves to support the government to making sure that governance becomes better for the ordinary Ghanaian.
It's been good, you say, but looking over the period, I know you've raised issues about utilities, and your major concern has to do the increase in tariffs. What are your expectations in the media?
This utilities issue, it's rather unfortunate. We speak against it, but it's rather unfortunate that it looks like the government's hand or the economy's hands are tied to the conditions of IMF, for which reason it becomes very difficult. So in as much as some of this cannot be controlled, in the areas that can be controlled, where there's arbitrary increases in taxes and all of that, that one the government should try and be mindful of that. So that brings me to a point of this 1 cedi levy, which is on petrol. Because if you are putting a levy on petrol, and then you also have to increase utilities every 3 months, then we are overburdening the ordinary Ghanaian.
Right.
So where we can control, I think that we want to support the government control, and where we cannot, we want to manage it as well. So this 1 cedi levy, I think that we spoke against it. Unfortunately, the government has implemented it, but I think that it is not to the benefit of the ordinary Ghanaian, and we are going to suffer. You know, once that goes up, it means that fuel is going up, and once fuel goes up, every other produce goes up.
All right, thank you.
It becomes very difficult for the.
Thank you. We shall come to you. We shall come to you when the media budget is read, and for your reaction to that. But like I did promise, we also have the Vice President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Clement Boatin, joining us via phone this time round. Clement, thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us. Now, the Forex example, inflation and other macroeconomic indicators have relatively been stable over the period, thereby causing prices to drop at the market. Now, how is this positive trend impacted on your operations during the first quarter, you would say?
Yeah, good evening to your cherished listeners as well as viewers, and thank you for having me. Yes, in this first quarter of the year, we can all point to the fact that the macroeconomic indices are all pointing to the right direction, with, I would say, the section of interest rate, which is still on the higher side, 33, 34, 35%, which we think it is not in the interest of the business community. But we talk about inflation. Inflation has been declining steadily. We talk about the exchange rate. We are all aware that the CD has appreciated for the last 3 months, which is also good for the business community. So, like I said, in the section of the interest rate, I think all the macroeconomic indices are pointing to the right direction, and I think it's good for the business community.
And what are you hoping to see addressed in the media budget review come Thursday?
Yes, in the media budget review, we are looking forward for the minister to make a pronouncement on the rationalization of the duty regime, because if you could remember, in the run-up to the election, there were one party which was talking about flat rates, and then the government in power also was talking about a fixed rate. So we were thinking in their maiden budget, they were going to implement the fixed rate, because when we had opportunity to meet the president, by then he was a flag bearer, when we had opportunity to meet him and his team, and then we showed him the tall list of levies and taxes that we are paying as far as duty regime is concerned. He was alarmed, and I think it was against that background that he promised, to do a rationalization of the duty regime, and then promised to implement the fixed rate. But we didn't hear it in their maiden budget. So it is our expectation that pronouncements will be made in this media budget review.
All right.
Then we are also looking forward to hear something about the VAT regime, because we have also complained about that. And in the maiden budget, the minister raised this issue of VAT, and then promised there was going to be an IMF technical team. They have consulted them to come and then look into the VAT, and then see how the VAT regime will go. Well, there has been some consultations because we met GRA, I think about 3 weeks ago on this same issue, and then we made our input. So we want to hear, something about the VAT, because currently what pertains now is about 3 regimes, where we have the standard rate, we have the flat rate, and then we have those that are not paying at all by the way of they don't meeting the threshold. So we expect to hear something about the VAT issue.
All right.
And then we also expect to hear something about the issue of
all right.
Special import duty.
All right.
We have a special import duty of 2%, which we think is about time that special import duty of 2% should be taken away. So we want to hear a pronouncement
on that.
On that. Yes,
that's fine. That's fine. We shall, of course, come to you subsequently after the budget is read on Thursday. The media budget, is read on Thursday. Clement Boateng, thank you so much for your time. This is still Business Life. We have a story for you after this break. Welcome back to Business Life. Fish Solutions has expressed optimism about the economic outlook of the Ghanaian economy, saying the real growth rate of the country will stay above 5% in 2025 and 2026, respectively. According to the UK-based firm, lower inflation is supporting a positive outlook for the economy. Mike Roninga is an associate director of Fish Solutions and has been speaking at today's Sub-Saharan Africa macroeconomic update.
Ghana's economy recorded a pretty solid rebound in 2024, becoming one of the fastest growing economies in SSA. So as you can see on the chart on the left here, growth remained pretty strong in the first quarter of 2025, coming in above 5%. And this was driven by robust agricultural output, a continued expansion in the services sector, primarily in tech and finance, and renewed momentum in gold production. So looking ahead, we remain pretty optimistic on the outlook for the Ghanaian economy. We expect GDP growth to stay around 5% in both 2025 and 2026. And so one of the key drivers behind the sustained recovery is the sharp disinflation trend we're seeing.
Mr. Kroninga also spoke about the outlook of the cedi.
Ghana is Africa's largest gold producer. The country has seen a major windfall from increased gold exports, which has helped boost foreign exchange reserves, which you can also see on the right here, and has given the central bank, the Bank of Ghana, substantial firepower to actively support the currency on the FX market. So as for the outlook, in the near term, we believe the cedi's gains are likely to hold. The central bank's reserve buffers remain pretty solid. And with gold prices still elevated, there's enough support to keep the cedi broadly stable through the remainder of 2025 and into 2026 as well. However, there are risks, right? So if gold prices were to drop sharply, say due to a sudden easing in geopolitical tensions, Ghana's reserve position would weaken.
And that's it for Business Live, but we have more stories for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. BoG announces new guidelines on application of exchange rates by players in the shipping industry, and we're heavy on that here on Business Live. Also on that portal, Ghana likely to end 2025 with inflation rate in single digit. That's according to Deloitte. We have more stories for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I am Pius Kojobaka. Thanks so much for your company.